Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cornelia, but you can call me Corny, and my channel is Cornyco, where I like to share about things that happen in my life and travel and living in Japan. I've been going through different experiences being a teacher here in Japan, and I just thought it would be interesting for us to kind of use this as a soundboard and talk to each other and comment down below and, you know, see what's different in other people's countries compared to Japan, because I'm just completely curious if you've had anything similar. And I also know a lot of you have gone back to school, so this is like the perfect time to post this video. It's been interesting to see how people have tried to continue interacting and continuing their daily lives and education throughout Japan. I know that people who have graduated have actually done it through tablet, like on wheels. It's been really bizarre, but also entertaining and lighthearted to see. At least they tried to make it happen in some way. Japan, I swear, like, it only gets weirder but also more interesting as time goes on. Not all the time, it's pretty normal here, but like things like that you're just like, only in Japan. So that's been fun to see. But other things that haven't been so fun is like the congestion of places, you know, places like Shibuya, Tokyo. It's unfortunate because, you know, my kids at my old school, they couldn't actually get to graduate properly with having their parents around. They still got to be together in a room, but social distancing apart. People have been stuck here. People who work here, usually who went home for vacation or whatever, got stuck in whatever country they were in and couldn't come back to work. If that was one of you, then please let me know, what the heck did you do? Well done to you. There are a lot more jobs going out here though. It's been an absolute mess for education, let's just put it that way. But people are handling it quite well now, at least where I am. I've been quite lucky to have a very well organized school. All I know is I didn't feel safe in the beginning, and I wanted to talk a bit more about that leading up to where I am now. At the beginning, I was still like expected to go to school. I'm gonna go back to work. Are you sure? I had hot flushes, I had headaches, I couldn't sleep, I had an asthma attack, I had anxiety, my temperature shot up. I was like, oh my god, have I got the Rona now? I don't know what's going on. I guess Japan didn't really know what was going on. They were just taking too long to decide what was happening. I got very anxious because, you know, I'm hearing a lot of news from back home in the UK, and also I know that in Japan there are many congested areas, especially where I live, Yokohama. So I'm hearing stories from my family and friends back home. It's taking a real heavy hit. At that time there was no measures in place. People often commute from Yokohama to Tokyo and vice versa, so I started to freak the hell out. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go into work, even catch the train for a second. I called in sick because I didn't want to go in, and I took some time off for like 2 days. I've actually vlogged it, so if you guys want to look at my vlogs, I'll probably put them here, of like every time I freaked out about going back to work and dealing with you know what. Basically, Japan went into lockdown or soft suggested quarantine kind of thing. It wasn't like official, but they recommended that you stay home. And that was being heavily promoted at that time. I believe it started March, late March to April. Luckily during that time my workplace had decided to withdraw the teachers and say stay at home and stay safe. I think they were just waiting for what the Board of Education was saying, and the Board of Education was waiting for what the government was saying, so everybody was just waiting. But they made the right choice, and I made the right decision for myself because I just didn't feel comfortable at all. My company actually sent me a thermometer, so I am expected still to record my temperature every day and send it back to my company so they can prove to the Board of Education that we're doing what we can to keep ourselves healthy and safe and just keep checking up, which is great. And I think the kids are probably expected to do the same, like the parents will check their temperature every day. It's been recommended anyways within the school system. I don't know if it's the same for you guys. A lot of people have tried teaching online or had to shift and start teaching online, and I've heard there's been a lot of challenges with that too. The kids aren't used to it and navigating around who has a laptop, who has access to the internet. Like, it's crazy. Not everybody does, surprisingly, and especially in a place like Japan where things are kind of like still in the old and not everybody's quite up to date with technology. I know you'll be shocked to hear that. They still have CD players and faxes, so it's like a kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality in Japan. So not everybody has access to all these things. I've lost a lot of students for my private teaching because they've had to return back home because it's not safe to travel, because this, like, at one point this was one of the, like, the highest areas when it came to getting infected. They didn't feel safe, like, having a one-to-one conversation, which I totally understand. We've all been in this position, staying home, you know, keeping yourself preoccupied, trying to work out, stay fit, eat healthy, keep entertained, keep focused, not lose my marbles, not get lonely because I've got no one here. I'm here by myself. I have to cope and deal with this. We've all been in some kind of compromising situation. 2 months pass by and I have to go back to school. I am once again freaking out because I don't feel totally safe. I've become comfortable being at home and getting used to that. Taking the trains in the morning, as hell as it is during rush hour, it's scary because everyone's squished in like sardines. So imagine that, knowing that you're, you know, the risk is out there. You've just got to get on that train and do it. And you feel like, at least I felt like a freaking martyr. Like, oh, you're gonna send me out there to teach and send the kids back to school? Okay, you're telling me I'm gonna go back to school with 40 kids stuffed into a room. They're asking for me to get sick. Take me now, just do it. Now I have to adjust, and it's a new school that I'm going to, so I don't know these people. I don't know the students. I don't know the environment. I don't trust anybody. It just feels like I'm going in blind. I'm just like jumping into a sea of sharks or something. I don't know. But it just feels scary to me. I realized how important it is to like prep yourself and take care of yourself mentally, because mental and physical does come hand in hand. Luckily, I didn't have to teach in the beginning because I think they were just trying to get the kids used to coming into school. Even for a couple of weeks, I didn't have to fully teach a whole lesson because I was just introducing myself to like loads of kids. I decided to separate myself and eat in a separate room because obviously when you eat, you take your mask off, and exposing your mouth like that, it just didn't seem right to me in the beginning. I just did everything I could to protect myself. For me, it was the right thing to do. And I purchased a mask. As an English teacher, I have to speak to the kids a lot. The formation of my mouth is very important when it comes to learning languages. So I brought that so when I actually do spelling tests with them, they can see what I'm saying. Schools provided masks for us anyway, so that was good just in case we didn't have any. But a lot of people brought their own. The most interesting thing about going back to school was the classes were divided into two. Say you've got like 40 kids, which is a very normal thing in Japan. You'd have 20 kids come in the morning times. At lunchtime, the kids did go home, so they didn't actually eat at the school just yet. Then they'd swap over to the other half of the class. So we did this constantly for a couple of weeks. I think after about 3 weeks, they actually came back together. So it was a full class. That might be the same for you. Maybe in the beginning it will be separated. The classes started at 30 minutes, so it was very short. And the kids sat like one space apart from each other, so that made sure that there was a desk in between each student. Each student was expected to face forward and not converse and talk to each other. As time went on, the timing was extended and the kids were allowed to have speaking time for longer and longer and longer. In the beginning, it was something like nothing, 5 minutes, then it'd be extended to 10, 15, 20, and now they can just talk freely. Imagine as an English teacher, that's something that's very hard. A lot of English teachers were freaking out and thinking, you know, this is really challenging. How do I create something that where they don't have to talk but they still have fun? I've lived here for about 3.5 years now, so I have a lot of activities that I like to do and I can just whip it out. It's pre-made. But I guess I had to adapt a lot of that, or just cut it out completely, or just make sheets entirely from scratch. Usually when you create things, you're kind of judging or preempting how long it will take, and that went out the window. A lot more thought had to go into planning and delivering, executing lessons. Slowly we'd extend the time, so it went from 30 minutes after a couple of weeks, 35 minutes after a couple of weeks, 40, 45, 50, which is the maximum time at least in Japan, public schools. Usually for lunchtime, or if they just need to wash their hands, they'll have place markers telling the students where to stand. So social distancing again, people will queue up and wait to wash their hands in an orderly fashion. Like if you've got to queue up for something, they'll have place markers everywhere. There's a lot of signs around the schools as well. Reminder to wear your mask at all times, how to properly wash your hands. So kids face forward, kids aren't allowed to talk to each other when they're eating at all. Classroom teacher, so whoever's head of that classroom, sits with the kids during lunchtime, and they usually sit at the front, you know, the front desk, and they face forward facing the kids. So I know a lot of teachers don't actually eat during lunchtime, or if they do, they eat something small and fast because they don't feel comfortable like eating without a mask. So that has been interesting to hear about. Luckily I don't have that responsibility of eating with the kids. I just feel sorry for them. Gosh, I don't know how they cope. Usually in Japan, people recycle heavily. Even in the schools, they separate the cans, the plastic bottles and metal, batteries, paper. They actually blocked off the trash bins. They blocked that off because a lot of people, I guess, touch and kind of gather in that same area, so they just wanted to keep it sanitary and safe. Students are expected to take all their trash home. Same goes for lunchtime. They're expected to either take it home if it's a bento from home, or if it's hammerben from school, like a school lunch, then they're expected to give it back to whoever's handing them out. Each level, in the hallways, like going up the steps, you'll have hand sanitizer, so it's always readily available everywhere. In the classrooms, you'll have hand sanitizer and tissues, no trash bins, maybe like one. That's probably for like paper. Luckily, in places like the UK or the US, they hire people to clean. Please tell me if you're back at school, how are they coping with that? Do they have like the full hazmat suit or something? I don't know. Unfortunately, the kids usually do the cleaning and the teachers do the cleaning too, but the kids, obviously we have to protect them, so it's just been the teachers cleaning. Now, clean the classrooms every single day. Because it's summertime, they have to close the windows or at least keep the AC on. At first, we were recommended to have all windows like open so that, you know, the room air can circulate, and they're doing that on the trains too. They're still doing that on the trains. That window being open at winter time, like, do you know about the winters in Japan? The kids join a lot of clubs in schools, but some were just cancelled because it wasn't safe for them to be in, you know, close proximity, touching the ball or touching whatever and sharing equipment. Things have changed now. The clubs are back open again. People like to interact usually in schools, and especially the younger that they are, it's very hard for them to not touch. But as time's gone on, I've seen them like loosen up, and they're giving each other piggybacks and dragging them across the hall and sitting on each other's laps and dancing together or whatever. Like, they're just back to normal now, I feel, but everybody still wears a mask in the school except for lunchtime. I can safely say now I'm kind of feeling a little bit more comfortable. I still have a lot to adjust to because we're finally back to normal now, and it's a new school, so there's still other things that I've got to iron out, but I'm through the worst of it, I believe. I hope so. I hope we don't have to go back. Hopefully this will reassure you that you can get through it too. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and this is just the new norm for all of us. So just hang in there, do the best that you can, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, Vito, Gambate, peace and love. Bye.